here. We will have power supply to this double pole, and then we will be wiring this socket, and then we will definitely have our MCBs here on this side, and then we'll be able to connect a switch. This switch, definitely we will have a bulb here. So a bulb will be fed from this particular switch, and then the neutral wire will come all the way from this neutral bar here. Our socket that we will have here, we will also supply it from here, and we will have what is referred to as earth connection from this earth bar. All right, so we go. Get as earth connection from this earth bar. All right. Get so that is my setup there. So let us get excited about it. Now, where are you streaming this live from? Let me know so that we can have some good time definitely here. From the start, we will be dealing with something that is definitely of our interest as electrical technicians. Something that is definitely of our interest as electrical technicians. Can you hear me clearly? Let me know. Am I audible? Give me the likes if you're ready to get some. Also, let me know where you are streaming from. Am I clear enough? Just checking my mic whether everything is okay. Kindly confirm whether I'm very much audible. So in my setup, I have a simple demonstration here, and at this particular point, like I indicated, I have this as the main switch or the double pole. Now I will simply be powering the entire system just to prove to you that it is actually that simple, and you'll be able to understand it properly. Am I audible? Is my sound okay, or is there some echoes? Who will confirm and let me know where you are streaming from? It is such an honor to be hosting this live, and more so an honor, a great honor to host you, my top boss, in this live. All I would request you to tell me is where you're streaming from and what are you here to learn. All right. So I will have this setup here activated by power, and I will have my power supply to this particular point through this phase connection, as well as through this neutral connection, which serves as our return cable. Now, we all know that from the consumer unit, or from the meter box, sorry, from the meter box, power is supplied to the consumer unit. So basically here what I've done is to actually set apart the parts that are normally in the consumer unit, or would I say to, let's say, disfigure or something, so that you're able to understand this concept very, very well. All right. And I'm hoping that you are able to see it very, very well. Hmm. Joy from Lemuru. As an upcoming electrician, I love your work. Wow. Awesome. 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 Thank you. Thank you so much for that feedback. It really means a lot to me. So here I am having this DP, and then very shortly I will be powering my system so that it actually has power supply. First of all, what I want to do is to ensure that if at all I switch it on, first let me have it off so that I can connect power, and then just be sure that there is power supply to my main switch. So if I have power supply, I'm using this meter here. And are you a person that appreciates or loves to have instruments or tools? I really love tools, and especially measuring instruments. So I have it here. I've actually adjusted it to the voltage, the AC voltage, so that I can be able to, take the reading. So that is where the AC voltage is. It is currently at 00. So let me go ahead and check the voltage at this particular point here, voltage being AC, and we have 230. That is per my country, Kenya, where we are supplied with a voltage of 220 all the way to 230. I don't know whether you are able to clearly see that. Sorry, just a moment. Yes. So probably the image might appear inverted, but I can see from where I'm confirming that it is okay. 230. Well, so at this point, we have our voltage there. And then what I'm going to do is to simply also confirm my earthing connection is actually working hand in hand, with my face. So what you can see there is earthing and face connection, measuring the voltage between the earth and the phase connection. Is it clear to you? Are you able to see that? Still 230. All right. Now that being said and done, we have confirmed that actually there is power supply to our double pole. What we need now to do is to confirm, and I mean to go ahead and wire. Would you want me to switch the entire power off, or it is okay, I can continue with the wiring as long as my double pole is off? All right, so let us get into it. Let us have a moment where we can engage, and I will really appreciate. All I will appreciate is your feedback. Jomo Lives had already confirmed that he's actually watching from Limuru, and he is an upcoming electrician. So glad to have your attention here my top boss, Jomo. Jomo has been a great supporter from day one. Every time that I'm live, I normally see you, and not only that, but I receive your feedback and I appreciate so much. So that being said, we'll have our lighting point here, which is basically a bulb. We'll have one gun here, one way switch, and then we will have our twin socket here, or others may call it double socket. We'll have it here. All of this now makes two electrical circuits in this single phase setup. Now, why did I decide to do this simple demo? It's so that if, for instance, you are a student, an electrical student that is in school, may be able to understand these particular basics, the concept, so that it can help you have a very much clear understanding when you are starting out in electrical layout, probably in your school sessions, or if, for instance, you are starting out as an attachee, an intern, or just stepping into the job market, these basics will definitely be of much help. Yes, my name is John, and this is Top Heights Electricals. Definitely so geared up, fired up for this particular session. And I would appreciate your like if you are ready to get some value. So, where do we start? Absolutely great question. I would prefer that we start with at this particular point where we will have to set our MCBs. Given that we are talking about a socket and a lighting point, we definitely have those as two circuits, and I will have these two MCBs definitely. So I will have a 20 ampere MCB and then a 6 ampere MCB for my lighting. Can have something lower than that if you're connecting fewer points, but if you're connecting multiple points, let's say you have a ring circuit that is for the socket, and we will definitely be covering a ring circuit, you can have something bigger than 20 MCB that is for the sockets. If you have a lot of lighting points that you are connecting to that particular circuit, definitely you will require an MCB that is bigger than 6. We also have a 10, we also have a 16. So depending on the number of lighting points, definitely that dictates the ampere or the size of the MCB. Remember, MCBs have different ratings depending on the use that they are supposed to be used for. Let's say we have multiple lighting points that you have, for instance, in a place where you have community setups such as halls, or you probably have, you know, very wide applications of a lot of lighting points, then definitely that will dictate the amount or the size of the MCB. Now, another important thing for you to note is that we normally start from the larger one going to the smaller rated MCB. For this case, I have started with a 20 ampere MCB that is nearing the DP MCB. Let me just have it off, and then I will have it like so. And then I have now at the far end the 6, which is the smallest as at that particular point, and I will definitely have them all off. So this is what I mean. When you are connecting them, you just ensure that there is that order where you have the double pole, you have the larger one, and then descending that way. So if we had a 32, it would definitely be next to the DPMCB. If we had another 32, then it will follow that order, and then a 20. If we had, let's say, a 10 and then a 6, so that is how you set it up, but don't mix whereby you have a 20, a 32, a 10, a 6, a 5. No, 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 no. you put them in an order whereby it will be very easy for someone to even interpret and know that actually this is a person that knew what they were doing. All right, top boss. Okay, so that being said, let me now go ahead and do something else, which is using this bar. This is the bar which will now connect the double pole MCB to the MCBs. I want to tell you something very important about this bar, and it is that it is made of pure copper. So that makes any connection on it to be electrically sound, meaning that there will be no losses or very minimal or almost negligible losses, electrical losses, when it comes to the current transfer, or when we are conducting electricity. Kuzanai Chitiza says, I'm watching you live from South Africa. Keep it up. Awesome. Thank you so much. All the way from South Africa. What an honor to have you in the house. So grateful that you could join me. So what I'm going to do is to simply have these from the output on the side of the face connecting these two MCBs. And probably you may wonder, why aren't you cutting this bar? But I cannot do that simply because in future we may have multiple connections here, so we don't need to really cut it or reduce in size in case in future we want to have more circuits. So that is basically how you design a circuit. If for instance you are an electrician, I usually say that an electrician is a designer. You are an electrical designer. You don't leave it to any other engineer in the site or any other person to come and do the work for you. You are the one to do it on your own. And therefore, as a designer, as an electrical technician, your work is to advise your clients and tell them, this is the way to go, this is how to lay out our electrical installation, and you give them the advantages. That is your work as the designer as well as the electrical engineer, so that if someone asks you a question like, for instance, why have you decided to use a 2.5 millimeter wire for a socket instead of a 1.5, which could have saved my money? You tell them that I have used that so that in future, if you are connecting any gadget or any device or any appliance to that socket, it will not struggle to complete the circuit, and therefore your installation will be safe. You will not have issues such as fires or electrical hazards that may even burn down your house. Once you explain something like that to your client, they see value out of you, and you get paid not because you are good at your work. You get paid because of the value that you provide, because remember, there are people who can do this work better than us electrical or trained electrical technicians. So what we are trying to do is to have something to leverage upon. Once you have value that you are giving to your customer, then you are at a great advantage. So we will have our bar here connected like so, and then, like I always say, there are mistakes that happen at this particular point. Mistake number one is if you're using a tool that will not be able to make a tight connection. Most people use a tester. A tester will not tighten those screws enough to make sure that that connection is electrically sound. So what do you do? Instead of using a tester which may not tighten it, you definitely use a screwdriver. This screwdriver can either be star or it can be a flat. For me, I'm choosing to use a star screwdriver. So I will connect it there. So the connection is set this way. There is an incoming live connection here, And then when the incoming live connection is at this particular point, when we switch it on, it will definitely come to this port bar and serve these MCBs with the phase connection or current. So I'll go ahead and tighten it, tighten the screw, just like that. Sorry, let me just confirm that everything is okay here, so that at the moment we will be able to connect any device or connect the circuit. We will want to have very tight connections. The reason why you require tight connections is, like I said, to avoid future errors or to avoid any electrical hazards such as fires. So you want to connect it and ensure that we do a tight connection. And by the way, my top boss, if you are able to master the consumer unit, it's like you have mastered 80% of the domestic wiring. When it comes to three-phase wiring, if you want to be better at it, then you also master the distribution board as well as load balancing and phase balancing. What do I mean by that? If you are able to, determine that you have a three-phase setup and you have, like, let's say, a machine at your client's place. Let's say there is a machine that is rated this, rating of, let's say, you are dealing with motors, and then you have a 7 horsepower, you have a 3 horsepower, you have a 5 horsepower, and you must be able to balance all of these so that you know that a particular room which has higher number of machines needs to be supplied with these devices, with these gadgets, and also the type of cabling to that particular room or section which has a very heavy load in it must have the cable which is definitely of a bigger size to be able to handle the current drawn by these particular machines. And when it comes to, like, let's say, the phase balancing, there are places you find that you will require a three-phase supply, but the appliances there are single phase. Now this is where now your expertise at phase balancing comes in, whereby you have, like, let's say, first floor, second floor, third floor. All of these floors have single phase machines. All of these floors probably are on average, or they consume almost the same quantity of electricity. Now that is where your expertise in load balancing comes in, whereby you will say that this particular floor I will serve it with red phase, this other floor I will serve it with blue phase, the other floor I will serve it with yellow phase. Forgive me, I've not gone in order. It's supposed to be red, yellow, blue. Yes, RYB. So we have already connected our MCBs there, and just to let you know that I have made sure that I connect them using this bar, and from this particular point where we have the incoming phase, it will go all the way, and as you can see, I've connected there, and then I've linked this MCB so that once this DP MCB is on, then it means that this phase current will flow all the way up to this particular point for any connections that we may be having. How about the neutral? How do we go about it? Yes, very nice. So we now connect the neutral. Allow me to set up my camera just near here so that I may do that connection. And before I probably do that connection, I will want to highlight something about it. From this connection here in the other video that I did, if you have already watched it, I said that the connection will come from here, and then because it is exiting at this particular part here of the MCB, of the DP MCB, we will then connect it all the way to this neutral bar. Why am I saying so? Because in the consumer unit, we have this neutral bar. So we will take only a single cable from this particular point to this particular neutral bar, so that each and every circuit will tap its neutral from here, or it will have a return path through this neutral bar. And the good thing about the neutral bar is that it is made of pure copper. The screws and also the connection here will be very tight, meaning that we will have such a perfect electrical connection, and we will also have a good mechanical connection. But what do I mean by those two terms? Electrically sound and mechanically sound. Electrically sound is that the material is made of copper. So when you connect it there, then it means that there will be minimal to no losses in terms of current. Electrically sound meaning that the screwing is very much tightened to ensure that there is no loose connection. Again, a loose connection brings about a problem, because the flow of electricity is in such a manner that it is like in a loop. It comes in through the face and it goes to the appliance, and it has to come back through this neutral connection. The neutral is very, very important. In many cases, you find that the neutral does not have a switch or is not disconnected in any manner. The reason why this double pole is switched both at the face and the neutral is so that you may not switch on the face while the neutral is off. Why? It will bring about an issue of uh, a neutral that is, we refer to it as floating. The neutral is not complete, therefore it may lead to a spike in voltages, which will definitely affect the appliances and may lead to surges, So that is, even at the transformer level, we have seen that normally the fuses are connected at the face. For instance, you have a single phase transformer. The fuse is only placed at the phase connection, but the neutral comes all the way from the transformer to the conductor that is supplying the the neutral to every installation. So the neutral is not supposed to be interrupted in any way, unless the face is also part of the process of interruption, for instance, in this double pole switch. So the neutral is very, very important in any electrical installation. There are some places you may find that the neutral has been disconnected due to one or two reasons, and then someone decides to tap at this earth connection. That is very wrong, because if at all there is a loose connection on the earthing, or there is a failure on the earthing, whereby you find that most people don't focus so much on the earth, and then there is a break on that circuit, especially at the earth connection, because earth connection in most cases fails, you will find that there will also be what we refer to as a spike in voltage. This spike is what is commonly referred to as a power surge, which will end up damaging appliances at home. All right. So that being said and done, we now go ahead and connect our neutral from this particular point to our neutral bar. Like I said also in the video that I did about the wiring, which I'll be posting it on the description, is that you are supposed to ensure that the connections are made at the neutral bar, and not clutter the wires here or the cables here that are going to the circuit, because that will mean that that will be a loose connection. All right. So let me know if you have just joined me, where you're streaming from,
And if you're already getting some value, I will really appreciate your feedback. And
we will be on the road cruising smoothly. So I will simply connect my neutral wire there, and again using my screwdriver here. Remember, we said you don't use the wrong tool. Don't use uh like, let's say, a tester or a screwdriver which is smaller in size. All right, so I will, for convenience purposes, I will just have it at the beginning there, and then go ahead and screw it, and then make sure that my, you know, my screwing there is very tight, so that I have something perfect like so. Are you ready? Are you already finding some value out of our today's live session? Dennis Otieno says, great job. Thank you so much, Dennis. Such an honor to have you here. I'm so honored. Yes, so my neutral comes directly from this MCB at this particular point. So if I switch on, it means that if I take a reading from this particular bar, as well as here or here, I will have 240 volts coming into my demo here, which is basically a circuit, or basically, uh, how do we refer to this? Which is basically a layout in the consumer unit. All right. Okay, so we have our neutral setup, and that means that our circuit is now very ready to be connected to any circuit that we wish. Like, for instance, if we want to connect to the lighting point, we'll simply tap from this MCB. We will tap the face at this particular point. If we want to connect the neutral, we will tap here. If we want to connect our earth connection, we will definitely connect it here. Once we turn on this MCB, then our lighting point here will come on if we put on the switch here. So let us connect the neutral connections, and then, or can we go wholesomely, in the sense that if I want to wire the socket, I will start with the socket, be done with it before I go to the lighting. What do you think? Should I start with the socket, or should I start with the neutral connections? How do you guys do it, when you're in the field? Myself, I prefer, if I'm dealing with the socket, I deal with the socket alone. If I'm dealing with the lights, I deal with the lighting setup alone, and then once I'm done, can go to other things. So what do you prefer?
so glad to have you guys here. So glad to have your feedback. Thank you so much. Like I started with Jomo Lives, a great fan of Top Heights Electricals and a great fan of mine. Really appreciate you. Kuzania Chitiza say that he's watching from South Africa, and he appreciates my work and encourages me to really keep it up. Thank you so much, Kuzanai. Keep Fit Cop says kudos. Thank you so much. And of course, Dennis Otieno says top heights watching from Thika. Incredible, incredible. So glad to have you, Dennis Otieno. All right. So I think the best thing for me to do would be definitely to wire the socket first. Then I can go to wire the light, and then I'll be able to demonstrate to you about the whole connection, so that you may know that it is actually very simple if you have not begun it. And if you're already in the game, you'll agree with me that
Indeed, this is very simple. When it comes to connecting the socket, it is important for you to understand one major thing, which is the connection must come from the MCB. The connection must have the earth connection, and the connection has the neutral connection. Another important thing is definitely on the size of the cables. My cables, I'm using 2.5 millimeter square. That is the cross-sectional area of my cable. And so those are three going all the way to my socket. All right. But why would I have the three? Simply because if I'm using these twin socket here, we refer to it as a twin. Okay. So if we have this twin socket, we definitely, but there's something important about a twin socket is that it has three connections. We have the connection for the neutral, for the earth, as well as for the live connection. All right, I have uh, Lyle East says, I'm Winfred SL Mensa coming from Ghana. Please, I want to know how to install ceiling fan. Awesome, 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 Lyle, or how is your name pronounced? That one I will definitely cover it, and I will be so glad, to talk about it. I have several requests concerning it, and definitely I will be covering it. So the similarity of these twin socket and the single socket is that they all have the connection for the live, the neutral, only one connection, and the earth connection. For the twin, you have these two connections for the earth system, but for the single, you have only one connection for the earth. So we will have our face connected here to the L, and then the neutral will be connected to the N, and then the earth will either be connected to either this or this particular point here. But first, let us do the wiring connection. So for that, I will require, according to our color code, I will definitely be requiring these three important wires here. Let me just show you in the moment. So Lyle, I have received that request, and I will definitely be glad, to do it. And I know that you will get a lot of value out of it for sure. All right. Mhm. So my top boss, if you have not liked the video, share some love. Also, if you probably are looking for something that you would want us to talk about, then feel free. This is our channel, this is our place where we can share as much as we want. We can keep in touch. So it will be my pleasure to definitely address something that you have requested me to. And as you all know, you are my top boss, and I am at your service. So anything that you ask me to do, I will definitely be honored and be glad to do it. Yes, sir. So I have my cables here, just looking for the correct size so that we can be able to learn much from that. So if I have these cables here, I will simply tap there, which is the neutral, and then I mean the face and the earth connection, and then for the neutral, like we said, the neutral has to come from this particular point here, the neutral bar, and then we'll simply using my pliers, go ahead, cut it. So where do you connect first? It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you do the connection all the way to the correct place. And then for the socket connection, it is not advisable. In fact, for all the connections, it is not advisable for you to have joints on your cables, right? It is not advisable to have joints. So ensure that your cables are continuing. So if you are doing an electrical installation, sometimes you will have that conduit system. The conduit system is where you have the pipes, the pipes from probably the socket or from the consumer unit all the way to, the respective circuits. So if for instance you are connecting the cables from the socket, definitely like I'm doing, you will start from this point here, and you're assuming that this is a pipe or your conduit. We will also be doing a demo on how best to do a face, I mean a surface wiring, where we will be having that connection whereby you can have the trunking done. All right, we'll have the trunking, and we will be doing that demo. So at this point, I'm having my earth connection there. Okay, again I will use my screwdriver and then connect that perfectly there. Remember, our consumer unit is off. In fact, you can switch it off at the meter box or at the meter board where you have that double pole there. And let me just connect this one here before it gets to touch the, the face or the live connection. So I'm connecting it definitely to the 20 ampere MCB, making sure that that connection or that link is very tight. Remember, electrical connection should be very sound, as well as it must be presentable or neat. It makes the work look neat. And also remember, as an electrician, you are appealing to humans. Okay, so if you are appealing to humans, they will definitely prefer something that looks neat and does not scare them. Okay, because you're dealing with humans. If you are doing an electrical connection for just just for the sake of lighting or for the sake of things to operate, you might not really be concerned about how good those connections look, but you will really be concerned about probably safety, but if you're dealing with humans, humans are people who appreciate something that is neat or of a good design. So you must ensure that you live up to that standard, my top boss. Well, if you are here watching us and you are probably not subscribed to my channel, kindly subscribe so that you will never miss a notification or probably uh, an episode from me, your good brother here by the name John. Am I a good brother? I don't know. Yes, so like you can see, that is my neutral coming all the way from the neutral bar. Again, we say that we are appealing to human emotion, so we do a neat job. Also, there is it is important for you to have connections that are right angled for the reasons that are actually making the connection to be electrically sound. That being said and done, my neutral is connected all the way to this particular power point, or the socket outlet or the power outlet. And then uh, my neutral is done, my face is done, and my earth connection is done. But before we can switch it on, we definitely have to connect our socket. So just to show you again, it is connected in this way, this neutral all the way to my socket here, right? Then the earth going all the way to the earth bar. Remember, the earth bar from the meter box comes all the way to the consumer unit to the earth bar. There is no interruption. And then the face from the socket will go all the way to this particular MCB there. I'm using a 20 MCB simply because that is a socket that I'm assuming I'm just connecting very, very simple or very light loads. All right. Okay, so we are good. We are good about that. And so let me do this. Let me connect my socket now. Okay. So for my socket, like I had already showed you, it has the live connection, the phase connection, as well as the neutral connection. So since my circuit is off, even if I touch this live connection here, I am safe because it is completely off. Therefore, current is not flowing here. Now, when it comes to connection of electrical fixtures, another thing or another hack that I may tell you is that it is normally good for you to backfold. For me, I prefer backfolding, even if it's just a little bit, to ensure that that connection will be very, very tight. So, and I will backfold the earth as well as the neutral and even the face. Why? So that that connection is perfect. The neutral, remember how we said that you really need to be watchful of the neutral and make sure that it is a very tight connection so that you don't have any electrical issues in the future, right? Makes sense? Awesome. Thank you so much for the likes, guys, um, and also your feedback. I really do appreciate. It is such an honor to see so many of you watching or live streaming live. Having your attention means a lot to me. Okay, so let me just bring my camera closer here so that we will be wiring together this socket so that you may see, like you can be able to tell I have backfolded, even if it's just a little bit. That is the face. I've backfolded the neutral, and I've also backfolded the earth connection. When you get to connecting our socket, must ensure that it goes all in. Okay, so first to unscrew them, the neutral, the face, as well as the earth connection. There you go. So for my neutral, where you have it marked N, I will then have my black wire there. And notice how I have not left, cables just, I mean the wire itself out, but I've made sure that it goes all in. But another mistake that people make is to screw on the insulation. So I've allowed the cable to go all in And also when I screw it, I ensure that I don't screw on the insulation but on the copper wires. And then just to tighten it, make sure that it is tight. For the face, I also connect it on the L, that is the live connection, based on this particular socket, and then I screw it, making sure that I don't screw on the insulation. Now here is another mess. If for instance you don't let the whole of this insulation to go in and then it sags, is a problem, because if it gets in contact with this uh, earth connection here, there will be a short circuit. So you need to be really careful about that. So again, I will connect that connection there. That is for the earth. That is where we normally say last but not least. So the earth is very, very important, just as the neutral is, and even the phase connection. So there you have it. That is a socket well connected there. All we need to do now is to connect it to the, what do you call,
Now need to connect it to that plastic cover. What is the name of the plastic casing? Plastic casing is definitely referred to as the patris.
but in ideal situations where you are not doing a surface wiring, you have what we refer to as a switch box. That is a double, I mean a twin switch box. So which will definitely make a lot of sense. Then using our BA screws here, these ones will definitely screw our socket to the patches there. So happy to see many of you. And then when you are screwing these, you also, first of all, you must recognize that I have left, an allowance for the cables, so that in future, if this socket is replaced, then the person doing the work probably cuts these wires due to one or two reasons. Then the wires will, the cable will be reducing in size. So to cover for that, I normally ensure that I have left a very good allowance. Maybe I may not use very, but I've at least left an allowance so that for the future purposes. Okay, then I will have my socket go in there, and make sure that I spread the cables properly so that they just don't clutter in there and cause a lot of issues when I will probably be screwing that. But again, remember, when it comes to a ring circuit, you have a lot of cables coming in here. So there could be an issue there. So that is why I prefer using deep batteries, that is for the surface wiring. A deep batteries will allow multiple cables here. Another thing is when you are doing the electrical installation and you're using the switch boxes that are normally installed inside the wall before plaster, you also ensure that you have an allowance there, so that allowance will give room for multiple connections of the wires. Let's say when we'll be talking about the ring circuit. Incredible. So you go ahead and screw our BA screws. A very simple way. Again, you use screwdriver, not a tester, so that you make sure that the screws are tightly done. I forgot to share with you something, but I will share with you when we will be connecting that switch for the light. And that is, sometimes when you are tightening these screws, that part that holds the screw in the batteries sometimes may come out, that metallic part. And when it does, what do? You normally connect some wires there so that they can act as threads, so that they can hold the screw tight. Incredible. So that is our socket connected there, being fed by a 20 ampere MCB, and also has its neutral connection very well done right there. It looks slanted a bit. Let me just correct it like so. How does it look? How does my work look? My top boss? Is it neat, or is it, you know, some shoddy work over here? I'm not perfect, so I would appreciate your feedback. And if you'll be watching this video as a recorded version, let me know your views. Let me know what you think about my connection there. And if you are not subscribed to my channel, kindly subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. Okay, now from the neutral bar, we have already fed our socket. If at all I switch it on here, this socket automatically gets power supply. And as you can see, our neutral is fed, our earth, as well as our, you know, our face. But before we get to connect the socket only, can we do the lighting circuit finally? That will be the last demo, and then I will definitely have more connections, including for the cooker, for the shower, so that we get to learn a lot in our next episode. For now, let us do the lighting setup. So for the lighting setup, it is so much interesting to me, and of much interest. Why? Because also it makes a lot of sense to note that at this point we will have our bulb here. So we'll have our bulb, but again, something about the lighting system is that it must have somewhere where you can switch it on and off. Just like a socket, you have the gun here where you switch it on and you switch it off. For this twin socket, we have this switching gun here, gang, G-A-N-G, where you have two, in fact, where you can switch this particular section with this switch, and then we have this other section where you can switch it on or off with this gun here. Awesome. Are you fired up? Are you excited like I am? I'm always excited when I do these videos, and then there is someone who will come with a feedback and say that I learned something or correct me. Like there's a video I did where I was using a kitchen knife to strip the wires. I received a lot of backlash, and I appreciate all of that. Thank you so much. Every time that I receive any reaction from you, whether you like my video or you probably share it, I am always grateful. Most importantly, when I receive a feedback through the comment section that, John, I would like you to do this, or would like you to do a demo of this, I always appreciate so much, knowing that I have someone on the other end that appreciates my work or gives feedback or corrects me. I am always honored. So as an electrical technician, let me know what is your feedback in. I really appreciate. So from here, we have to connect the face, we have to connect the neutral, we also have to connect the earthing connection. Why? Because lighting points require earthing,
because if at all you are connecting sophisticated lighting systems, the earth connection is very important. Earthing is not only to safeguard people against electric shock, earthing also safeguards the specific appliances connected to those circuits from incidences such as uh, current leakages which may actually damage them. So if you have an earthing connection going there and then there is a problem in the circuit, then that means that the earth connection will be able to pick the excessive charges all the way to the earth bar in the consumer unit and then all the way to the meter box where the charges will definitely flow to the ground. So that is very, very important to ensure that the earth connection is done in the lighting system. All right, so let us go ahead and do that connection. Now that we have just talked about the earth connection, let us go all the way and have it connected. So I will start with the earth connection. For this case, I'm using for the lighting, you need to use 1.5, or at worst you can use 1.0 millimeter square cables. All right. I also I have the neutral, which is represented by black. I also have the face represented by red, and I have the earth represented by green. I mean by yellow with green stripes, or by green with yellow stripes, depending on how you'd want to see it. But it also depends on the country that you are in and the regulations. There are other countries where you use a different color for red face. I mean for a face, and a different color for a neutral or a return connection. Let me know in the comment section in what country are you in, and also what are the regulations there. What color code do you use? I will be very, very happy to know that, my top boss. So we have this connection here. The red or the face will go all the way to the switch. From the switch, it will go all the way to the consumer unit, where we'll have the connection to the MCB. Like I promised, I'm starting with the earth connection, and I'll connect it all the way there. From this point here, I'll have it go all the way to my earth bar. Top boss, if you are already getting value out of our today's live session, kindly don't forget to leave a like, and just know that I really do appreciate, really with my whole heart, your presence as well as your support from day one. It really, really means a lot. We have grown, and I never thought I will have the numbers that I have right now. We are at 13.7K subscribers. This is as at today. This is the 5th June 2024. So if you'll be watching this video in the future, probably would have grown. But my greatest concern is not to grow just in numbers. My greatest concern is you, my top boss, that you may be able to become better at your craft. And if you have also noticed, I've been very huge on electricians' success when it comes to your work in the field and also your interaction with your customers. That is why, if you have noticed, I've also been sharing about my experiences, one-on-one experiences with the customers. For instance, a customer did not pay me after my services, rendering my services. Maybe another one did not pay me after we agreed that
they will pay for the quotation. So I've been very huge on that, and the reason why I've been doing so is that you may become better at your craft. You may be able to see the loopholes that are in this field and also evade them. Okay, so that you don't have to necessarily go through the the loopholes or the challenges that we went through, but you may be able to evade them. They normally say that you know you need to learn from other people's mistakes. You don't necessarily have to learn from your own mistakes, because they'll be very costly. you know they'll be very costly if you are learning from your own mistakes. uh, I'm having an issue with this thing here, but I'm good. So I share my experiences so that through my experiences you can be able to see things clearly, so that you may also be able to know how to go about things that may happen in this life. All right, once you are out there in the field, once you are dealing with a customer, you know that if at all this customer uses certain words, then this business is not mine. If at all this customer says this, I know that they're not willing to give me that business, and they definitely want to use me. Did you know that electrical technicians are being used outside here? Yes, of course, we are being used at scale. When I say at scale, I mean that we are really suffering. We are really being used in a very big way, because someone will come ask you for a quotation, and they will even promise you how they will give you that work, only for them to use your quotation with someone else. And you must know that that person is also being used, because they will be told, I know everything. you know I know how these things are. I know where to get the materials. So all I want you to do is to just come and execute the work. Everything I've done, I have already known the measurements that are required. I've done all that, and my top boss, you are the one who did that. And you were just you are just being used by that customer. So those are some of the things that really concern me, and I always talk about them so that you may avoid those dirty games. Right, so this is our lighting point where we have connected already the earth connection, the neutral, and it goes all the way like so. The neutral going to the neutral bar, that is the earth, the neutral connection, and then the earth connection, as you can see, going to the earth bar. As you can see, I have not cut that neutral wire, so that in future again, if you would want to use it, then it gives you an allowance. Again, I don't encourage joints in an electrical circuit. Now, the reason why I have left the connection, the phase connection, to be the last one is simply because it involves a lot. It has to go somewhere before it gets to the consumer unit, and that somewhere it's definitely the switch. Okay, so again, from the lighting point, it is one wire or one cable. Then you have to cut it so that it can go to the switch, right? So like, if for instance it is coming from this point here at the consumer unit and going all the way to my lighting point, assuming that this is my wire now. In fact, let me cut it so that I may show it to you clearly. So my wire comes all the way to the lighting points like so. It has to go to the consumer unit where I have my MCB for the light. Again, this is a wire with small cross-sectional area, so I will also backfold it, connect it at this MCB here, which is rated 6. Tighten it. Remember, my MCB is still off, so electricity is still off. So this cable goes all the way to my lighting point. But again, we need to switch this light on and off. So all you need to do, or you need to know about the switch, is that it is basically to interrupt the flow of current. So what we do is that it has to go through here like so that we can allow it to be interrupted before it can go to the lighting points. How is it interrupted? Very simple. We have this switch here. So this switch is a one gang switch. It is a one gang two-way switch. Why is it a one gang two-way switch? As you can see, this is the gang, G-A-N-G, the gang that switches. Okay, here we have, this is what I have. I should be having only a one-way switch, but if you have these, it is very good, because if at all in the future you would want to switch that lighting system so that it can be a two-way switch, you don't have to go back again to the shop, buy another switch. You'll only buy one switch so that you can make it two-way. I already did a video where I demonstrated two-way lighting switch system. You can check it out. I will also share the link in the description. Now, at this particular point, we have the common connection where we will connect now the live that is coming in from the consumer unit. It is always live. So we will connect it here at the L common. And then we have the L1, where this is now the output that goes to our lighting point or the bulb, so that this switch will only switch at this point here. If you do the opposite, meaning you connect the incoming live at this particular L common, sorry about that. If you do the opposite, where you connect the incoming from the consumer unit here, and then the one going to the bulb or the lighting point at the L2, then it means that that light will be switching at this upper part, which is not really the standard of electrical technician. All right. So that being said and done, we will now interrupt this circuit this way. Simply cut there, and then we strip. We are stripping the insulation. And then here now we are allowed to use a tester, because this is a lighting connection and the screws are even themselves small. So allow me to have my camera just closer here so that I can well demonstrate. So this is the one that is coming from the consumer unit, or that is coming from our MCB. So I will simply have to screw the L common, screw it properly, and then connect the connection, that is the cable that is coming from the MCB at the consumer unit, and go ahead and screw it and make sure that that connection is definitely tight, so that we don't have an issue in future. An issue may arise due to loose connections, which definitely are a recipe for disaster when it comes to electrical installation. When it comes to L1 and L2, like I've said, we connect it to L1 so that uh, the light will switch on at the lower part of that switch. All right, awesome. Hit the likes up if you're just joining. So glad to have you. Where are you streaming from? I really appreciate. Again, it is good for you to leave an allowance at the switch. In future, the switch will require to be, to be replaced like so. So you have some extra cables there, so that
when there will be need for that replacement, there is sufficient cable inside there.
right. We go ahead and using our BA screws, simply screw it. So when you are in the field, the work gets much interesting if at all you love it. And if at all you connect or you have these connections in a faster way, then you have an advantage, because you do a lot of work and then that will translate to a good pay in that day. All right, on that day, sorry. So if you're able to do this work very fast, you have an advantage, you have an edge over the others, because if at all you are dealing with an engineer who is very strict on time and the amount of work done at a particular time, then you have an advantage. Good. Top boss, are we together? So glad to have you. So then we go to this point here. I have what we refer to as the bulb holder. That is what I'm using.
So the bulb holder
Has all those connections there, and let me just show that to you. This bulb holder is great because it has the connection for the earth, and it has the connection for the neutral, of course, as well as the phase connection. Okay,